Every time you spot a repeating number on a clock, your brain gives you a tiny hit of the same chemical that makes gambling addictive. And you've trained it to do this on purpose. The manifestation community has built an entire framework around signs from the universe. Angel numbers, synchronicities, seeing your specific person's name everywhere. The promise is simple: notice enough signs and your desire is on its way. But the mechanism underneath that promise has nothing to do with the universe. It has everything to do with a molecule your brain produces in quantities you can measure. Dopamine. You've heard of it, probably as the pleasure chemical. That description is wrong in a way that matters here. Dopamine is released before the reward, during the anticipation phase, the wanting, the scanning, the searching. Your brain floods with it when you expect something good might be about to happen, the actual reward. That produces a different neurochemical response entirely. Dopamine is about the chase, and chasing signs is the purest form of chase there is. Think about what happens when you set an intention. You decide you want a specific outcome, a relationship, money, a new job. The manifestation framework then tells you to look for evidence that is coming. You're now primed. Your brain has received an instruction. Scan the environment for confirmation. This is where a well-documented cognitive mechanism kicks in, and it has a name researchers have used since the 1960s. The reticular activating system. It's a network in your brainstem that filters incoming sensory data. You receive roughly 11 million bits of sensory information per second. You consciously process about 50. The reticular activating system decides which 50, and it prioritizes whatever you flagged as important. Buy a red car. Suddenly every third car on the road is red. They were always there. Your filter just upgraded their priority. When you tell yourself to watch for signs that your manifestation is working, you've handed your filtering system a new job. Find evidence. And it will. Every license plate with your birthday on it. Every song lyric that matches your situation. Every coincidence that seems too perfect to be random. Your filter is doing exactly what you asked. The universe didn't rearrange itself. Your perception did. But the dopamine angle is where this gets genuinely concerning. Each time you spot a sign, your brain registers a small prediction success. You expected to find evidence, and you found it. That's a reward signal. Dopamine fires. You feel a warm rush of certainty. Yes, it's coming. The universe is confirming it. That feeling is real. The neurochemistry is measurable. What's manufactured is the interpretation. Here's what makes this loop so sticky. Variable reward schedules. Researchers figured out decades ago that the most addictive reward pattern is one where the reward comes unpredictably. Slot machines use this. Social media notifications use this. You pull the lever, and sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. The uncertainty is what keeps you pulling. If you won every time, the dopamine response would actually decrease. Your brain habituates to predictable rewards. Signs work on the same schedule. You don't see 11:11 every time you check the clock. Sometimes you glance and it's 10:47. Nothing. Then an hour later, 11:11. Dopamine spike. The inconsistency is the engine. Your brain is running the same software as a person feeding quarters into a slot machine, and the payout is a feeling of cosmic confirmation. The cycle deepens over time. Each sign you notice strengthens the neural pathway that says scanning for signs equals reward. Your brain gets faster at spotting them. You start seeing them everywhere. This feels like acceleration, like your manifestation is getting closer because the signs are increasing. The acceleration is real. The signs are increasing. Because your reticular activating system is getting better at its assigned job, the same way any skill improves with practice. You're becoming an expert at finding what you're looking for in random noise. So what's the actual cost? The dopamine loop feels good. The signs feel meaningful. Where's the harm? The harm is in what the loop replaces. Dopamine from anticipation creates a specific psychological state, satisfaction with the waiting. You feel productive. You feel aligned. You feel like things are moving. The emotional experience of spotting signs mimics the emotional experience of making progress. Your brain can barely tell the difference. Both produce engagement, optimism, forward momentum. One of them changes your material circumstances. The other is a neurochemical echo of change, with nothing underneath it. People deep in sign chasing often describe feeling like they're in the flow or on the right track. That sensation is accurate. neurochemically. The same circuits that fire when you're genuinely making progress toward a goal fire when you believe progress is happening. Your brain doesn't audit the evidence, it responds to the belief. This is why someone can spend 3 years manifesting a specific outcome, feel aligned the entire time, and end up exactly where they started. The feeling of progress was so convincing that actual progress became optional. The dopamine loop was self-sustaining. It didn't need external results because it was generating its own internal ones. There's a term in behavioral psychology for this: superstitious reinforcement. A pigeon in a Skinner box receives food at random intervals. Whatever behavior the pigeon happened to be doing when the food appeared gets reinforced. The pigeon starts repeating that behavior, spinning in circles, bobbing its head, convinced the behavior causes the food. The pigeon isn't stupid. The reinforcement schedule is genuinely convincing. The timing of the reward creates a causal illusion that's nearly impossible to break from the inside. You are the pigeon. The sign was the food pellet, and the spinning was your morning affirmation practice. The cruelest part of this mechanism is that it's self-sealing. Question the signs, and the framework has a built-in defense. Doubt blocks manifestation. Skepticism lowers your vibration. You need to believe harder, which means the only way to stay in the community's good graces is to keep feeding the dopamine loop and interpreting every random correlation as evidence. Any attempt to step back and evaluate critically gets reframed as the very thing preventing your success. Addiction researchers would recognize this structure immediately. The substance provides the reward. Questioning the substance triggers anxiety. The community reinforces continued use. Stopping feels like loss. Now, critics of this framing will point out something fair. Manifestation practices often include genuine psychological tools. Visualization is used in sports psychology, with measurable effects on performance. Gratitude practices shift attentional patterns in ways clinical research supports. Setting clear intentions helps with goal clarity, which does improve outcomes. These components work. The research is solid. The problem is what they're bundled with. Effective psychological techniques wrapped in a reward-seeking framework that makes the seeking itself the product. Visualization works because it primes motor planning and attentional focus. It stops working when the visualization becomes the goal, when the dopamine from imagining the outcome substitutes for the discomfort of pursuing it. There's a specific study worth mentioning. Researchers found that participants who spent time vividly fantasizing about a desired outcome showed lower energy and less effort toward achieving it afterward. The mental simulation of success produced enough of a neurochemical payoff that the brain downgraded the urgency of actual pursuit. The fantasy scratched the itch. Why chase something your brain already thinks you have? This maps directly onto the sign-chasing cycle. Every angel number spotted, every synchronicity logged, every confirmation from the universe registered, each one tells your brain the goal is approaching. Your motivational system responds by reducing drive. Why push harder when the delivery is already in transit? The people who escape this loop usually describe the same experience. A moment where the gap between how aligned they feel and how much their life has actually changed becomes impossible to ignore. The dopamine narrative says you're close. The bank account, the relationship status, the daily reality, those tell a different story. And that dissonance, when it finally lands, is brutal. Because you have to grieve not just the lost time, but the loss of a feeling that was genuinely beautiful. The certainty, the flow, the sense that something larger was orchestrating your life. That feeling was always real. It was generated by a 3-pound organ running prediction algorithms and reward circuits that evolved to keep you seeking food on a savanna. The brain is a meaning-making machine. Give it a framework and a reward schedule, and it will find meaning in static. The exit looks like something most people resist, sitting with the discomfort of uncertainty, letting the clock say 11:11 and feeling nothing, letting a coincidence be a coincidence. That silence where the dopamine spike used to be, that's where actual agency starts. Because when your brain stops getting rewarded for scanning the environment for confirmation, it redirects that energy somewhere the universe was never going to handle for you. Your own hands, your own decisions, your own unromantic, unsexy, non-viral daily effort. The dopamine will find new targets. It always does. The question is whether you choose them, or whether a TikTok algorithm and a century-old cognitive bias choose for